Democratic senators unleashed on Donald Trump's acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, and they unleashed on their Republican colleagues in the Senate during a hearing that just took place. This was the Judiciary Committee in the United States Senate to confirm Todd Blanche and to send his nomination for a full vote before the United States Senate. I want to show you what went down. Democratic Senator Whitehouse led the way, and let me show you here as he calls out Todd Blanche and Donald Trump for their cover-up of the Epstein files. Let's play this clip.
Let's start with the Epstein files, where Todd Blanche participated in the cover-up, continues to participate in the cover-up, and is responsible for a massive screw-up of the release of the documents. Cover-up and screw-up on the Epstein files. What do I mean by cover-up? Well, first, they looked at 4 FBI 302s that were the testimony of a woman who told the FBI in a formal statement that she had been sexually assaulted and physically assaulted by Donald Trump around 13 or 14 years of age. Of those 4 302s, they released 1, the one that did not mention Donald Trump. Well, fortunately for transparency, these documents had been released in other areas and bait stamped. So people figured out that some were missing. And with that, the other 302s that mentioned Donald Trump had to be produced. Only because they got caught were those 302s produced. And right now, as we sit here, Todd Blanche is still sitting on 37 pages that are almost certainly the agent's notes off of which the 302s were taken. That should be disclosed under the Epstein files law, but instead, those 37 pages remain.
Then we heard from Democratic Senator Schiff, who called out Todd Blanche for violating all of the ethics codes so blatantly, misleading the committee, engaging in perjury, concealing and covering up documents, implicating the President of the United States in the Epstein files. Watch as Senator Schiff just has had enough and unleashes. Play this clip.
So this is someone who has violated his code of ethics, blatantly, misled this committee in testimony, supported the establishment of a fund for cop beaters, concealed and covered up documents implicating the president in the Epstein files, gone after the president's enemies, and used the DOJ to enrich the president in a collusive settlement. Is this who we're prepared to confirm as Attorney General? It appears so. The fundamental problem with Todd Blanche is not that he's inexperienced, not that he's not capable, not that he's not intelligent. The problem with confirming Todd Blanche is that he has never been able to shed his role as criminal defense lawyer for Donald Trump. He just can't do it. He does not represent the American people now. He will never represent the American people. He will never do what's best for the American people. He will only do what's best for Donald Trump. And you cannot leave someone like that as the nation's #1 law enforcement official, not when you have a corrupt president engaged in the most unprecedented, self-enriching schemes we have ever seen. You just can't do it and hope to have anything left of the rule of law. I urge a no vote on this confirmation, and I yield back.
We now turn to the
Then you had Senator Booker talking about how Todd Blanche moved Ghislaine Maxwell from one facility in Tallahassee, where she was imprisoned for engaging in child sex trafficking with Jeffrey Epstein, and moved her to Club Fed in Camp Bryan in Texas. She got a reward for helping cover up things for Donald Trump. Senator Booker did not hold back. Let's play this clip.
They didn't get together to say, this is really bad. This is eroding trust in the justice system. This is eroding trust in the rule of law. We have to find a way to hold powerful people accountable. No, they came together with Todd Blanche in the room. How do we protect the president? And what happened after that? One of the most unusual things in the history of our country happened after that. Todd Blanche, at the highest heights of our Justice Department, ran to the prison of Ghislaine Maxwell. This is unprecedented. This is, lawyers tell me, untoward. This is corrupting. He didn't study the case files. He didn't talk to the prosecutors. No, he ran to the jail cell and met with her for 2 days, insulting every single Epstein victim that had been asking for a meeting for years. And after 2 days of meetings, did we get information that led to an indictment? No. Did we get information that led to new opens of investigations? No. Did we get one more conviction? No. What did we get? That a convicted sex offender was able to leave her confinement and go to the cushiest prison in our land, that by Bureau of Prison Law, by DOJ law, is a violation of their principles. So Ghislaine Maxwell is sitting in the lowest possible confinement after giving no information that helped us get one more investigation started, and has been silent. And the man responsible for that, we are about to make the Attorney General of the United States of America. This man is not our lawyer. He is not America's lawyer. He is about to become Trump's sword against his adversaries and shield against any scrutiny. The shield is going to shield him from tax cheating. The shield is going to shield him from investigation for any involvement he may have had in Epstein's deeds. And the sword, I've seen it. Unprecedented that the Attorney General should investigate colleagues here on this committee. This is farcical.
Now more from Senator Whitehouse right here. Let's play it.
And then you get to Ghislaine Maxwell, where a deputy attorney general flew to Tallahassee to have a private meeting with a woman convicted of participating in Epstein's depravity. And what was the upshot of that meeting? Was it to get more information about who else was culpable, about whose secrets were still being kept? No. It was to get exculpatory information about Donald Trump and then reward her with a move to a club-fed prison. Now, the nominal excuse for that is, oh, she was in danger in her earlier prison, so we had to move her. How often does a prisoner allegedly facing threats or danger get moved to a less secure facility? I mean, think about it. It doesn't pass the test of common sense. So, between the botched disclosure, which revealed victims of Epstein's depravity, whose names had not been previously known, in some cases with photographic images with their addresses, in some cases photographs without being fully clothed, Where does the buck stop for that, if not with Mr. Blanche? That was an epic botch that did real harm to Epstein's victims. Voting for this guy today gives their blessing to the screw up, to the botched release that even Pam Bondi pointed at Blanche as responsible for. And it gives the blessing to his continuing role in the cover-up of Epstein files.
More from Senator Schiff right here. Let's play it.
Let me ask you about another matter. You have your name on it. I don't think you can deny responsibility here, and that is the IRS settlement agreement. So
Yes.
you put your name on this. That absolves the president of tax liabilities in the past. The president was convicted in the case you represented him in of falsifying business records in part for tax purposes. Does this settlement not absolve the president of any liability for tax crimes associated with what he's already been convicted of?
That's not what he was convicted of. It not have to do with
Well,
for tax
I'm happy to
purposes.
read the statement of facts. The participants took steps that mischaracterized for tax purposes the true nature of the payments made in furtherance of this scheme. So you know,
The
Mr.
participant
Blanche,
there was not the president. It was somebody else.
well, if the president is conspiring with others to falsify business records to help them cheat on taxes, he is also exposed to liability. You know that as well as I do.
He can't be audited for that.
And of course he can be. Of course he can be. And he can be prosecuted for it. But the agreement you signed on behalf of your former client, on behalf of your current client, in a staggering example of self-dealing prohibits that. Let me ask you this. Does this tax agreement, this addendum you signed, also hold him harmless from any audit or tax liability with respect to the billions in crypto money he made in his first year as president?
It's not forward-looking. So to the extent there are taxes filed by the president or his sons or the Trump organization after the date of that agreement, there's no protection.
Well, but before that agreement, so any
so he hasn't
taxes,
filed taxes
so
yet
any-
for money he made last year, right? So
yes.
no.
So if he
So no protection.
if he filed tax returns this year for money he earned last year, that his sons earned, that his World Liberty Financial, all those people earned and defrauded taxpayers on it, he faces no liability under this
no
agreement you
evidence. There's
signed.
no evidence taxpayers were defrauded, and he
But
is not
there's
protected. He
evidence
is
in
not
this
protected.
agreement that
not
you've
protected.
absolved him of any liability over.
No, I
it.
just said he's not absolved. So the question
So this
was,
agreement doesn't apply to a tax return filed last year
To
or
tax
filed this
returns
year.
to tax returns filed after the date of the agreement? No,
No,
it does not
before the
apply.
agreement. A tax return filed in this calendar year before this agreement.
Before the agreement, it applies, not
Yes,
after.
okay, so for a tax return filed this year for last year, for the billions he made, there's no tax liability, even if he cheats on his taxes or his kids do or his business do. He is absolved of that further potential liability.
No.
Well, it's in the plain language of your agreement. Did you write this language?
You
by the
have to
way?
use the facts, though.
Did
that
you-
He hasn't
did
filed
you-
taxes yet. So when he files taxes, there's no protection based upon this agreement.
Did
Senator Whitehouse then talks about the crooked slush fund for January 6th insurrectionists and the Trump family tax amnesty scam. And I love the way that Whitehouse presented this. He held up those pieces of paper that Todd Blanche posted on social media the other day. One purported to be an order rescinding the January 6th insurrection fund. The other was an unsigned press release that said update on the May 19th addendum. The press release affirmed that Trump and his family get full tax amnesty. It affirmed it. It confirmed it. The other document is unenforceable. It wasn't signed by all of the parties, and it didn't rescind the settlement agreement. A new order could just be put in place that says, actually, we are going to fund the January 6th insurrectionists. But Todd Blanche and the MAGA Republicans on the Senate committee say, well, we just have to trust Trump. Just Trump and Blanche say that they're not going to do anything with the J6 fund, so just trust them. Here, play this clip.
So next we get to this crooked slush fund Trump family tax amnesty scam. Let's take a look at that. We've got these two new pieces of paper one signed only by Todd Blanche, one not signed by anybody, neither of which has any legal effect whatsoever. They are decorative. So what problems do they leave behind? Well, one is, can you trust Todd Blanche going forward? I will tell you, I do not. I think it would be unreasonable to trust him going forward. There is enough weasel room in these documents to drive a truck through. And what might that truck look like? Well, you could get rid of the anti-weaponization fund for $1.776 billion, and in a month, put out the Trump Justice Fund for $1.9 billion. Nothing in this document prevents anything like that from happening. You could open a drive-up window at the Department of Justice for cop beaters from January 6th to come through and get friendly Federal Tort Claims Act settlements from the Department of Justice. They're already handing out settlements to Trump's allies. What's to prevent the drive-up window? Come on in. Here we are. We got the friendly form for you to file, and here's a check. Nothing prevents the cop beaters from being funded by the Trump Department of Justice. But let's assume that we really have made a big improvement here. Let's assume that the burglar has been forced to give back some of the jewelry he stole. Being forced to give back some ill-gotten gains doesn't mean you're not still a burglar. There's a question of the man's character, that he was willing to get into these schemes in the first place.
Absolutely, absolutely outrageous. And I always said, by the way, that the January 6th fund was a smokescreen for Donald Trump wanting to give himself tax amnesty and his company's tax amnesty so they don't have to pay taxes and they won't be audited for all of the taxes he hasn't paid. It's the most ridiculous thing. It's the most crooked, criminal, disgusting, abuse of power, impeachable, felony. It's the worst thing imaginable. It's the worst behavior in normal times. It's the most imaginable. Senator Blumenthal talks about Blanche's so-called walk back on the slush fund, and watch how Senator Blumenthal puts it. Let's play it.
Donald Trump and the United States of America to settle his case. Now, Todd Blanche purports to change it. This document is a sham. It is a sham and a fraud on the Congress insofar as it seeks to change our minds by representing something that is patently false. Commentators have talked about loopholes. There are no loopholes here. This document itself is a sham. In fact, one of its statements is that it incorporates all of Todd Blanche's testimony before this committee. I want to hold up one part of that testimony. Todd Blanche himself says that that agreement is an enforceable document. So I suppose if President Trump's counsel sought to enforce it, potentially they could. Of course they could. Tomorrow, Donald Trump's counsel can go to court and seek to establish that trust fund, that thug fund. Senator Tillis called it a payout to punks fund, if he chooses to do so. It is an enforceable agreement no matter what Todd Blanche says about it. And if you don't believe me, you can listen to one of the most ardent advocates of that anti-weaponization fund, who said the quiet part out loud on Twitter just recently, Mike Howell, who Chairman Grassley called as a witness before this committee last year, retweeted Mr. Blanche's announcement with his own commentary, quote, "can be undone after Tuesday. The anti-weaponization fund is great." The President of the United States yesterday in the Oval Office repeated his commitment to the anti-weaponization fund. We don't need to say the quiet part out loud. The President is shouting it.
More from Senator Schiff right here.
Or as my colleague from North Carolina says, brings a Seychelles case. How absurd is that? Can there be any doubt that that was brought simply because he's on the president's enemies list? I know I'm on that list. The president reiterated just the other night that he hates me, which I could tell you wounds me deeply. He's entitled to his own views about me or anybody else. He is not entitled, however, to use the Department of Justice to go after his political opponents. And the day we say that's okay, and the day we confirm an attorney general who says that's okay, is the day that the rule of law becomes merely an unenforceable idea, a quaint acknowledgement of a past Justice Department in which the rule of law once mattered. We should not confirm an attorney general who believes the president has a right and a duty to use him to go after his enemies.
Now, if you were wondering, well, Ben, what are the MAGA Republicans saying? So like Tillis and Cornyn, they said previously that they would not support Todd Blanche's confirmation. They would not support the nomination unless the settlement agreement that Trump entered into with the Treasury Department and the IRS was rescinded, with a written document rescinding the settlement agreement, not doing some non-binding, unenforceable order regarding the January 6th insurrection fund. No, but like revoke the settlement agreement, say it's hereby rescinded. So what's Tillis saying right now? Well, Tillis said, well, you know what? Look at Biden, look at Obama, look at Crossfire Hurricane, look at all these other people. They were corrupt. They were corrupt. I don't even know what you're talking. Crossfire Hurricane. Rah! No, Donald Trump outright has destroyed the justice system. It's not comparable. It's not a thing, but this is what these MAGA Republicans are. They are deplorable human beings, not because they're Republican. As human beings, people like this are actually deplorable human beings. When you destroy the rule of law, when your entire reason for existence is to have Donald Trump steal from the American people, yeah, that makes you a deplorable human being. You should care about your fellow human being, not in a political way. You should want people to have health care. You should want people to live better lives. You should want people to get paid a fair wage. You should want people to be able to have housing. What, you have to give all their money to Donald freaking Trump? What the hell is going on? Scumbags here, play this clip.
No, the thing that interests me, and I'm kind of curious about the speeches that come after here, is how everybody has this view of they are as pure as the driven snow, and it's the other side that has a problem. I think we both have a problem, folks. If you want to talk about weaponization, take a look at the Biden administration. Take a look at the Obama administration. Take a look at Crossfire Hurricane. Take a look at the codes that Lois Lerner used in the IRS to target businesses to try and
More from Senator Cornyn right here. He goes, look. Give Blanche some time. Give him some space. He'll do the right thing. Let's play it.
Their assertion on behalf of the United States of America that the weaponization fund is dead. And of course, I expect them to live up to that in any future litigation. Given this agreement with Mr. Blanche, I expect the department to live up to this in future litigation, and I will vote to advance him out of the committee today. But my vote to advance Mr. Blanche's nomination goes beyond this document. We need a stabilizing force at the Department of Justice, and Mr. Blanche deserves the opportunity to provide that, as opposed to continuing to serve in an acting capacity and as the Deputy Attorney General.
And then finally, we have Senator Whitehouse. Here's how he finished up this hearing. Let's play it.
The last question that I'm left with here is what's left of this committee? What's left of this committee when we don't demand straight answers from witnesses? How many times has this Department of Justice been asked what became of the $50,000 that the FBI reported that it handed to Mr. Homan in a bribery sting? That's administrative stuff. That gets reported. There's an account. You've got to check the money out. If you get the money back, you've got to check the money back. There's an administrative trail. We can't get any information about that. Our Republican colleagues see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. Kash Patel virtually certainly lied to this committee sitting in front of us. Is there any interest in that? At a time when Republicans in Congress seem agitated about Biden officials lying to Congress? We got lies right here, folks. I don't know where this committee goes after it stops being taken seriously, because all you have to be is on the right partisan side to get this committee to roll over and play dead. Thank you, Chairman.
Senator Klobuchar.
And then the vote was taken. I'll show you, just so you can hear all of the people who ended up voting for Blanche, so you know to hold them accountable. It's all the Republicans voted for Blanche, all the Democrats voted against Blanche. And, you know, how this is a party line thing. This is an American thing. This should be an American thing. Blanche is the most unqualified, unethical, biggest scumbag who shouldn't be anywhere near this position. Period, full stop. But watch the vote. Let's play it.
Turn to the nomination of Todd Blanche to be Attorney General. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Cornyn.
Aye.
Mr. Lee.
Aye.
Mr. Cruz.
Aye.
Mr. Hawley.
Aye.
Mr. Tillis.
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy. Mrs. Blackburn. Mr. Schmidt. Mrs. Britt. Mrs. Moody. Ms. Brandt. Mr. Durbin.
No.
Mr. Whitehouse.
No by proxy.
Ms. Klobuchar.
No.
Mr. Coons.
No.
Mr. Blumenthal.
No.
Ms. Rono. Mr. Booker.
No.
Mr. Padilla.
No.
Mr. Welch.
No.
Mr. Schiff.
No.
Chairman Grassley.
Aye.
On this vote, the ayes are 12, the nays are 10.
The nomination will be favorably reported. Before we adjourn, I have some letters I want to put in the record from, well, I'm not going to bother to read it. It's not worth reading at this point. The meeting's adjourned.
And then after the vote concluded, Senator Cornyn was like, this is the MAGA Republican senator from Texas who said that he would only support Blanche if there was a written document revoking the settlement agreement between Trump and the Treasury Department, which didn't happen. And Cornyn's like, yeah, nothing we can do. Sorry. Nothing we can do to rein this in. Here's what he says. Let's play it.
I was saying as recently as yesterday that he likes the idea of this fund, that he wants to find some way to pay these people. Does that concern you as someone who's tried to fight against getting this anti-weaponization fund in place?
Well, there's nothing we could do to rein in the president when he said he likes the fund and he wishes it still exists, but the fact of the matter, it's dead. And that's all we could do under these circumstances. See you all.
Thank you.
And then Cornyn says, yeah, and as to the idea that the January 6th fund can be revived, Blanche has given us his word that it's not going to happen. So, you know, he gave us his word. Let's give him space. Let's trust him. We have no alternative but to take his word. What do you mean you have no alternative? Like, I mean, truly, are these like aliens? I mean, who are these human beings? What do you mean you have no alternative? You literally do have an alternative. The alternative is you don't confirm the guy who's covering up child sex trafficking rings. You don't confirm the guy who is out there doing 8647 criminal cases and who has By the way, he oversaw Jeanine Pirro's reflecting pool case. He overseen 15,000 habeas corpus petitions being granted and Trump losing 15,000 times in federal court. He's overseen the Justice Department having no presumption of regularity and judges from all parties looking at Trump's Justice Department like it's some disbarred piece of crap, junkyard law firm. Anyway, here, play this clip.
And Senator, your Democratic colleagues say that this order from Blanche rescinding the fund isn't binding. Why do you disagree?
Well, the weaponization fund is dead. We pointed out that the Department of Justice has represented that to numerous courts. And as to the idea that it could be revived in the future, I think it's highly unlikely that could happen without the cooperation of the Department of Justice. And I think Mr. Blanche gave us the assurances that it was dead and would not be revived. And in this case, we have no alternative but to take his word for that. And but I think it's highly unlikely that it could be revived.
And Senator,
there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Get your pre-order of WTF America. Pre-order WTF America now. It's the book I wrote with me and my brothers. It comes out October. But get the pre-order now. The publisher says the pre-orders are the most important aspect to have this thing keep getting momentum. Anyway, thanks everybody. We appreciate you. Thanks for watching.
Before you go, our book, WTF America, is available for pre-order now. It's the story of how we got here and how we fight our way back. To pre-order, scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.